So basically, first of all, we'll start with some of the introduction of JavaScript, theoretical introduction. And then we have these three projects to be discussed, three mini projects we have. And then we'll talk about some assignment here. This is banana processor. So we'll talk about that, right? So JavaScript is actually it is full-fledged dynamic programming language that generally adds interactivity to a website. Nothing else. It is a beginner-friendly language, and if you have some more experience doing it, you'll be able to create games, animated 2D, 3D graphics also. So JavaScript. So actually, what we talked yesterday, HTML is what? It is not a programming language. It is a markup language. It tells the browser how to structure a web page, and apart from it, there are CSS and JS in the building blocks of the web. So CSS tells the web browser to how to design that, how to present that particular web page on a particular browser tab. And apart from this CSS and HTML, we have JavaScript. So JavaScript adds the behavior to the HTML components. JavaScript tells the browser how to behave with actual HTML tags and elements. Okay. So here in the curriculum side, we have this HTML DOM. So this is the most important topic in JavaScript. While understanding JavaScript, we need to be clear with what is the actually DOM. Okay. So DOM is document object model. It is just a data representation of the objects that comprise the structure and the content of document on the web. When I say document is actually this particular thing, means HTML document itself. Okay. So document object model is the programming interface for HTML, where we can program HTML elements. JavaScript is a programming language. HTML is not. HTML is a markup language. It just tells a browser how to structure a web page, and JavaScript adds a behavior to it. So anything which adds behavior to something, it is generally a programming language. And DOM is actually this document object model, and it is just a data representation of the objects that comprise the structure and content of the document on the web. So generally a web page is a document, and this document can either be displayed on the browser window or as a HTML source. So both are document. In both cases they are document. Okay. So this document object model represents the same document so that it can be manipulated. And how it can be manipulated? It can be manipulated using JavaScript. So DOM is an object oriented representation of a web page. JavaScript is an object oriented language, and we are using JavaScript to manipulate this document object model. This is the particular document object model. So here we have document. The whole web page is a document, and under the hood we have HTML, and it is having several objects, and in the end of every object we have nodes. This text, this contents is nodes. So to manipulate these nodes and these elements and this root HTML, we are using JavaScript to actually manipulate whole document object model, right? So is this clear why we are using JavaScript?
Yes.
Okay. So let's now go to a small demonstration of this JavaScript, how we can use it. So this is the basic HTML I have created, right? So like we know that how to add a CSS file to a HTML document. We use this link thing and all. Link rel, we have to specify that this is a style sheet, and then we have to provide that where is that particular file. So we write this src, it is inside src style.css. the name of the CSS file, right? So now this is the HTML document we have, and this is the way we include this JavaScript file, right? So why we are putting this JavaScript file in bottom? Because we don't want this to be added in the top of the file. Because if I add this file in the top, so HTML, what a browser do, it executes the lines of HTML from top to bottom. So this will execute this JavaScript file first, and then it will load the body of this HTML file. And we don't want that, because after loading itself, whenever we do some activity with the web page, the actual HTML components, then only then we are adding the behavior, right? If this JavaScript file is executed first and then we are getting the body, then how we can add behavior? Means the behaviors will not execute because they have already been executed and they will not repeat, right? So is that clear why we have added this particular thing? Why we have added this script in the last of the HTML? Is that clear? What's the idea behind adding this script file in the bottom of the HTML document? Okay. So this is how we link this JavaScript file to this. So now let's create now use this file. Let's use this file. I have that file for a different purpose and we'll talk about that later. Now this is the body, and here we have the preview. Okay, here we have the preview, and inside body what am I going to do? I'm going to define a HTML button. How do we do that? We have this button tag, right? And inside that we are going to console. Actually console.log is actually simply printing in the console. This is the browser console window. In this like if you see here, this is the browser tab, another browser tab, and we suppose I am opening this thing. So upon inspecting, we have this developer options, and inside this developer option we have a console. So this is a browser console window where we can have these console values. We can print something while debugging our JavaScript and all. So how we can do this? Now let's go back to this file. Now let's define a button. Click here to console, right? Now I'll save this. So here is a button. Click here to console. But now upon clicking, it will show nothing to me. Why? Because we have not added behavior, anything else right now. So how we can do that? We can import our this thing, script. This is a script tag, and we have to open and close it following the actual HTML, the basic HTML anatomy. Opening tag, closing tag, and in between the content. But here in script file we don't have its content. We are importing as it is. We are giving the source where it is. It is inside src and it is index.js. And after src, what we have to define the type, and the type of this file is JavaScript text.js, right? So now we have nothing in our index.js. Our index.js will do, we will define a function. Suppose, so JavaScript is just like a programming language, simple programming language, right? So C++ and Python and everything have functions. Similarly, JavaScript also have function, and we can define a function in the same way we do in other programming languages. So this is a beginner friendly language, so it does not have any different kind of syntax for everything. It has a basic syntax to follow, but it is not as much complex. So function, and we are giving it a name like handle click. So upon clicking, please handle. What we have to do? Console.log something is clicked. something is click. We are saving this file. So now our function is ready. Handle click. So now what we will do, we will add a behavior to this button by defining an attribute, this on click attribute. On click tells the browser that upon clicking this browser what to do, and what to do will be defined by a JavaScript file, and this JavaScript file has only one function. So upon clicking this, we will just call this function handle click. So let's do that. Handle click. Right, done. So we are all set. We have linked this JavaScript file. We have defined an HTML button. We have added a behavior to it by using this onClick attribute. And this is the JavaScript property, but we have used this onClick as an attribute in HTML. And we have also defined a function in this JavaScript file. We are all set. Now let's click on this. There's a problem. Handle click is defined, but maybe I have misspelled. Something is wrong. Just a minute. So instead of JS, we have to write JavaScript, right? Okay. So now upon clicking, we are getting this console. Something is clear. So instead of writing just text JS, we have to write it whole. So type is text JavaScript. This is a text file which contains JavaScript. Textual JavaScript we have written, right? So Urmil Dev Karan Kushal family, having any doubt while consoling this? No doubt. Okay, understood. You understood the DOM concept also, the document object model which we discussed before. In ES6, ECMAScript. Actually, when you actually like, if you are defining a particular program, you are writing a program in like JavaScript, right? But if you are not linking this to HTML file, you don't need to specify anything unless and until you are using HTML. If you are using HTML, you have to define a type of the file you are using as a resource. Like if we are doing here, if we are adding CSS to our HTML document, we have to define that this is a style sheet. Unless and until we don't define, it will not work, right? So yes, you have to tell the browser that what's the type of file you are linking to. So we are linking to a text JavaScript file, and here we are linking a CSS file which is a style sheet. Here we are just defining a source, that where to grab that file from. But what's that file? What's that file is meant for? Okay, so that thing is defined by this style sheet. The browser needs to understand that why is this file being imported here and where I have to use it. So clear, Camel? So we have to yes, we have to define. Okay. So this was it. Now let's do something else with JavaScript. So you have something ready here, and we have created a div already. So as you can see, we have nothing HTML added in this HTML file. Then also we are having this behavior, like we are also having this HTML, complete HTML here. We're having a heading, we are having a paragraph, but we have not actually added any HTML in this HTML document. So where is it coming from? So this is because of JavaScript. Now when you go to our curriculum page, you can see here that JavaScript can change all the HTML elements in the page. JavaScript can change all the HTML attributes in the page. It can also change all the CSS styles. It can remove existing HTML elements and attributes. So JavaScript can do anything. JavaScript is above everything in the in a document, like a document object model which we talked. So JavaScript is meant for manipulating that particular document object model, right? So let's move to this index.js file. Now here what we are doing, we are importing this CSS file, which is in the same folder where this CSS file is residing. So we have just put this dot means this current directory. In this current directory we have this style.css file, and this document is from this document object model. So from this particular web page, I want this element by ID. So we have defined an ID here, ID app. Okay. So from this document, I want this element by ID app, and I want its inner HTML to be filled with this. Got this?
Yes.
Okay. So let me explain it again. Document came from where? It is document object model. Document object model. This is document object model. Above everything, we have document object model, under which we have HTML and its several components regarding this objects and node structure of this HTML DOM tree. This is the tree of objects and nodes. Okay. So JavaScript is meant for manipulating this particular document, and literally we are using this as an example. We are using here, we are manipulating this division element with ID app, and we want its inner HTML to be filled with this. So we don't have anything in our styles.css. So let's define something. Now if we have this let's open this index.js again. Here we have h1 element. So let's add a color to h1, right? So color, let's say it is blue. So we are as we are importing here style.css, and we are also having this h1 here. So we'll get to see the color blue here. Say hello vanilla. It is in blue now. So we can manipulate anything like CSS and HTML to be specific using JavaScript. Anything to be asked till now? Anything? So that we can move to the mini projects we have to deal with today. Today's session is more of mini projects.
No.
Okay. Pamela, Kushal, Devkaran, anything to ask? Devkaran and family. Anything you want to ask?
No.
Okay. So according to curriculum, which I prepared, we have this 3 projects today. Counter, in which we are going to deal with the on-click event, which we have already did, but we will cover this again. On-click, then the JavaScript variable, then JavaScript functions, then styling using JavaScript, and we have countdown. Here we will generally we have countdown stopwatch like thing. So we'll design this. We have designed it already. I have designed that already. So we'll add the behavior to that actual backend thing. So we are going to develop this 3 web apps using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript today. And here we are using this 2 set interval and clear interval. We will talk about this now. So if you don't have this link, you can have this. I'm pasting this in the chat box. Okay. So you can use that links. You can click on this counter and you will be redirected to the application page where we have actually defined this. And in the end of this session, we have an assignment to be done. You have to create this banana processor as a web application which translates English to Minion. Minion is a language which Minions used to speak. This is a fun project, and we are using API here. So I have also included this API, which API you have to use, and you have to read on your own about this fetch thing in JavaScript. And if you don't get anything to, like if you're having any problem, difficulties learning this, you can always DM me, or you can always see this source code which I have developed. Okay, so let's start with this. Let me close all these tabs. Okay, we also don't need this anymore. Okay, I need this meat. Also, don't need this. So also this is clear to everyone, right? So I will close this too. Devkaran Famil Urmil Kushal. This thing is clear to you. This inner HTML and document get element by ID is everything clear? Devkaran, okay. So let's move to this counter. The first uh, mini project of this session, countdown. So basically we have designed this with CSS, and this is designed with love for radiates for you all by me. Now this will behave uh, exactly same as any countdown will behave. Like we are typing it in this HTML input, we have 50, so it will start. It will start the timer 49, 48, 47, 56. Right. So was that countdown? It's a counter. Counter is redirecting to countdown. Okay, so first of all, we are doing this counter, not countdown. Okay, so we have basically designed this with CSS and HTML. We have structured the page, and what we are going to do, we have the three buttons. Upon clicking this increment, it should increment with green text. We should get a number incremented with green text. When you decrement it, we want this color to be red, and it should decrement this thing. And upon reset, it should be black color, and it should be 0. So now let's jump off to the design and this thing. So you can click on this open sandbox, and it will get back you to this source code. Let's wait, it's loading. Okay. So first of all, let's do a walkthrough of this HTML file. We have basically this linked this CSS file. We have designed some CSS for this. We have added some CSS to design this HTML, and we have this div. We have used this div. We have used HTML buttons. We have used this, what I was saying, div, headings and buttons. These things we have used, and we have basically defined a CSS file which looks like this. Good. Okay, now let's go to HTML file. We will need this, and we also need this JavaScript file. So JavaScript file is like just three functions we have, and we have a query selector. Like CSS selectors, we have learned before in the yesterday's session. We have learned that what are CSS selectors. CSS selectors are meant for like targeting. CSS selectors are meant for targeting a particular HTML tag, or a particular this. If we are using a CSS like class and ID, so it is used to target upon that. We have to design this particular ID. We have to design an element with this particular ID. We have to design this element with this particular class. Okay, so similarly, like this CSS selectors, we have this query selectors too. So what we are doing, what we generally want, we want something to be displayed here. Here, let's say here, heading. In the heading, we have count. Okay, and where we want actually to display, it is count itself. So we want here to be displayed. Upon clicking on the increment, we want this 0 to be changed with an incremented value of this integer, right? So here we want to display. And as we talked before, that JavaScript can change all HTML elements in the page. It can change all the HTML attributes in the page. So here what we have HTML tag, and we can change, JavaScript can change this value. The content enclosing in the HTML tags, JavaScript is capable of changing that. JavaScript is made for that. When talking about JavaScript, when talking about web programming, JavaScript is meant for manipulating the document object model. So this 0 will be changed to an incremented value of this integer when we click this increment. So here, like we did an demonstration, like we did that upon clicking we were controlling something. Similarly, upon clicking, now we will call this increment thing. Upon clicking, we will increment the value. We will increment this value by +1, and we will change the content by using this text content property of this HTML. We have created an instance. We have created an instance display. Display is an instance of what? This thing, this HTML, this line 15. We have created an instance of line 15. This heading element of this HTML, we have created an instance, and we have named it as display. We have this variable count. Generally in JavaScript, we will use let const where. So all these are used for defining variables in a JavaScript file, right? So here we have this, on the first line we have count variable, which is initially set to 0. Then we have display. Display, it is get element by ID. So we are getting an element, HTML element, which is having the count ID. So which element which we will get? We will get this element defined on this line 15. So we will get this element, and we will put that element in display. So display is the representative of this element now. Good. Anything to be asked till now? This display is the representative of this HTML element. Now, we have created an instance by referencing to a document, by referencing further to its ID. We are creating an instance of this HTML element. And now what we will do, we will manipulate the value. We will manipulate the content which is enclosed inside this particular element, like this 0. Okay. We have 3 functions defined. 3 functions: increment, decrement, and reset. And as the name suggests, we are doing the same. Upon clicking the increment, we will change this count with incrementing its value by 1. Every time when anyone will press increment, it will increment this count value by 1. And it will do what? It will also reference to the text content, and it will change the text content to count's new value. Now suppose the initial value of the count was 0, and now what we have, this count value changed on the line number 5. So when we click on count, when we click on increment here, this particular function is being called, and the count value is changing by 1. It is incrementing by 1. So suppose the initial value was 0, it will increment by 1. So we will have 1. Count is equal to 1 now. So the new value of count will be the textual content of the HTML element for which we created an instance. So display of that text content is count, and that's why upon incrementing we are getting a new value, because every time when the user is pressing the button, increment button, it is changing the count value, and it is changing the textual content inside that. And also the representative, the instance, referencing the instance, it will also change the style.color. It is a property. HTML, it is like a CSS property which is being referenced by JavaScript. So it will change the color to green, right? It will change this HTML contents color to green. So when we press increment, it will change to green. Similarly, when we press on decrement, it will change the color to red, because we have defined this on line number 13 that we will change this color to red. Whenever this decrement function will be called upon, it will be decremented by 1, and it will have this value reflected on this HTML element for which we define this particular variable, which we define this instance for. And similarly, reset in reset, we don't want any thing like this shorthand operators using this for increment or decrement. We simply will do what? Count is equal to 0. We will end up this thing. Count is equal to 0, and then the text content will be 0 now, because this new value of the count is 0. And this date.style.color will be black. Cool. So this was the first project you are going to create by your own, and I guess you should not be having any doubts regarding this. Urmil, are you having any doubt? Kamil, Kushal, Devkaran, anything to be asked? Okay. Urmil and Devkaran, you understood the JavaScript file?
Yes.
Okay. And Urmil also? Okay, you were left due to network issue. So let's get back to this code again. You will understand. So we have generally defined a variable count equal to 0. We have set it to 0 initially, and then we have created an instance of an HTML element, this heading element defined on the line number 15, and we want this to be changed whenever a button is being clicked. Okay, so when we click on increment button, it will call upon this function increment, and it will change the count value by incrementing it to 1. And then it will also change the text content by using this. This is text content. This is the JavaScript property to reference a particular instance, HTML instance, and changing its content by the new value. So we are going dynamic. We are changing the values dynamic using JavaScript. We are changing the document object model of this index.html. We are changing this count. So this 0 will no more be 0. This 0 will be the value of count. Okay. So we are using this thing using JavaScript, and we are also changing this color to green by using this. Referencing this instance, we are changing this style.color of that particular element to be green. Similarly, we have this decrement. Upon clicking on decrement button, what we want it to be changed to color red, and we want this count value to be decremented by 1, and we want this thing to be reflected back on the actual element, on the actual this thing content of this file, of this heading. Okay, and this reset button does not do anything much. It only sets this count variable as 0, and it also reflects back the current value of the count. So yes, and it changes the color to black. Nothing else. Fine, Urmil? Okay. So this was it. So by now you all should be able to create this particular web app by your own. Okay. So let's move to another project. We are on the curriculum page again, and I'm closing this thing. Don't want it now. We are going to do this countdown now. Countdown. Okay. Countdown. Okay, sorry. Countdown is actually redirecting. I have matched up the links. So countdown is redirecting the counter link, and counter link is redirecting the countdown. So this is countdown. Countdown to Learn.js begins. So it is actually behaving exactly the same as any countdown should. So whenever let's say 10, so it will set the timer and it will count down till 0. So let's jump off to the source code we have here. If you want to get to this, you can go to this curriculum page. You can click on the link and you will get to this particular thing. Okay. So we are ready to start with. Let's wait for loading this particular countdown project file. Taking time. Refresh. Okay. So after this, we will do this color prefab. So a short walkthrough of this HTML file, what we have used. So this page says that we have used an HTML element, we have used a button, and obviously we have used division and all, headings and all. So here it is. Here how we define an input in HTML. This is an input tag and it is self-closing. We don't need to close. Like a basic HTML anatomy follows what? Opening tag, a closing tag, and in between a content. But in input, we don't have any enclosing content. We have a particular input area to be created, right? So it is self-closing, and we have this attributes like ID. We have set it to count to reference it using JavaScript. We have used this ID, and we have named this input tab as count to reference it anywhere. That means like we want to call this input text. Why is this input for? For what is this input meant for? So it is named count. The type of this input element is number. So if I type any alphabet, it will not take any input. It will only take input of number, because we have beforehand we have defined this type to number. This is placeholder. Placeholder is like setting a actually setting this thing, set time in seconds. Like it tells like the user, if you are not using a label, what we have to write in this input area. So it will tell the user that you have to type this, a basic idea, a basic description of a particular label, a basic description of an input itself. It gives this placeholder, right? So below this, inside of this, we have this start button. In here we have implemented this on click function, and in the last we have this timer thing. So in the previous project, what we did in the previous project, we created an instance of the HTML element, and then we referenced it in the JavaScript, and then we changed the style of it, and we also changed the content. Similarly, we are changing the content here. Now initially when the page loads, it is like 0 here. Okay, so here also because we have did that in Java HTML. So this is what this is showing the actual static content of the HTML file, right? The static content which we have defined already. This is 0 here, and this is timer set to 0 initially using HTML. Now let's open the JS file here. JS file, inside that we have this handle click, because we have only one button here and we have only one behavior to be implemented on this whole document. Like we want to implement a countdown feature for this web app, nothing else. So we have only one function for that. So query selector, as we discussed before, it is the same as CSS selectors. We were using CSS selectors to target HTML tags, to target like IDs and classes. to design upon them. Similarly, we target this IDs and class to uh, to create an instance of that particular elements, HTML elements, and manipulate them using JavaScript file. Okay. So inside this handle click, we have defined a function. We have defined a function here. This is a function inside this set interval. So let's talk for this set interval. Set interval is a predefined function in JavaScript. It does what? It actually executes everything inside it. Set interval is like this. The basic thing set interval is like. So is my screen visible to you? First of all, let me confirm that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, visible.
Set interval. Set interval works like this. First of all, the first argument which it takes, let's do that thing. Let's be that some more colorful. So this is function. Function. The first thing is function. It will take a function and then it will take a value. By how many seconds? This is 1000 milliseconds means 1 second. So we have defined this thing beforehand that like every second we have to change the value. So 10. Start. Every second it will do what? Every second it will decrement the value by 1. So that's what is being done in this particular function. In the set interval, we have defined a function because the first argument, a function takes an argument, right? A function takes an argument. Similarly, the set interval is a predefined function in JavaScript which takes the first argument as a function itself. A function takes the first argument as another function, and it does what? It is doing just an decrement in the value of this count which we are getting from this dot value. Dot value means this. Here we have this ID equal to count. So whatever the value of this input area, whatever we are typing here, like suppose we are typing 5 here, so it will get value 5. This input area is having a value 5. So we are referencing that particular value by this particular document. Document comes from the DOM, the document object model, where we are using this query selector property of this JavaScript, and we are selecting what? An ID. So to reference an ID in this CSS and also in JS, we do what? We use hash. Hash is meant for referencing a ID, and dot is meant for referencing a class. Here timer, here we have timer. Timer is a class. Here is a timer. Timer is a class. And here we have ID. ID is equal to count. So we are doing this. We are creating an instance of the count. We are creating an instance of the timer. Actually creating an instance of this input area. And we are creating an instance of this heading. Not heading, this span area. This span area. This span. Span is actually non-semantic HTML tag which does nothing, which adds no value to this to the content enclosing into that, and it only has like enclosure. It only encloses content. Okay, so we can use it anywhere where we don't want any meaning to be added to the content we want, and we want that after something like some script should be run to manipulate the data, manipulate that particular value by using a JavaScript, for example. So we are creating an instance of this span area. We are creating an instance for that input area. So for input area, why we are doing this? We are doing this for getting the value. We are getting the value. When I will type 5, it will get the value. It will get the value to this count. Okay. Dot value with reference to this document.query selector. What? Query select this ID from that particular HTML document or wherever this JavaScript file is linked. Grab us what? Grab us the ID count and get us the value. Get us the value and store it in the variable count. We want that particular value to be stored into this count, right? Similarly, we are creating an instance of the this span area.
I do have a doubt.
Okay.
So can you explain the line number? Can you go back to the code? Yeah. What is happening without value? I mean, what will happen without value?
What is happening without value?
Yeah.
Without value, it will means like take whole element as a whole. this element, this pan area, it will take whole element. It will reference to this whole element, right? And anytime, anywhere when we want to take the value of that particular element, you have to use this particular dot value to reference the value, to reference the content inside this pan area, right? So is that clear?
I'm still not able to get. Can you print and show?
Okay, yes, we can always do this debugging thing. So let me copy this thing. We are copying this and I'm pasting it here. I am commenting this down and I am doing this value thing. Okay, so now what we will do simple console dot log and we will print out this count. Okay, upon refreshing, let's inspect. We will go back to this browser console. When I write 5, start. See, here I am getting the whole input area. I am getting whole input area. This whole input tag is coming.
Okay, so we want just number 5 and we are getting from
Yes. So when we don't include dot value to reference the value, the particular value we want, it will not show us that particular, it will means reference whole tag, and we don't want that. We want to play with the value. Getting Kushal?
Yes, got it.
Okay, clear?
Yes, you can move on.
Okay. So everyone, pay attention. Like this, we can console.log and we can debug our code, that what is happening on which line and how that thing happening, and what it is actually having inside that. So we'll uncomment it again and okay. So dot value. If you don't want this dot value to be done here, you can also do this thing here, dot value. It will behave the same because count dot value is also behaving the same. Now refreshing this will give the same thing. Why? Okay, object HTML input element. We have to do this thing. It is not okay. First of all, we have to give this value to a variable count.value. Not count.value. Let's suppose a counter. Where creating another variable counter, and then we can do this counter minus. But for that we have to change all these variable names. So let's remove this and get back to the original one. So it will behave the same. If you don't want to use this value here, you can also use it later, referencing to this particular element. Okay. Yes, it is working now. So this is how we can play with these elements, and we can debug our code by console.log. We can actually debug our code, what's happening on which line and all. So set interval will delay things inside this function. It will run this function every time in the span of this after a periodic span of this 1 second, and it will only get terminate upon calling of this clear interval or upon closing of this particular tab, closing on this particular browser window. Okay, unless and until we don't call this clear interval thing, we will not get this thing terminated, set interval. So it is actually, set interval is a controlled infinite loop kind of thing. It is a controlled infinite loop, and it can only be terminated using this clear interval or by closing the browser window. Got that? Everyone? Famil, Kushal, Devkaran? Famil? Okay, Devkaran says yes. Okay. So, this thing is happening. So let's discuss this thing again. So this is creating the instance of this of that input area. This is creating the instance of this display area, and now we are using this set interval thing. Okay, set interval is having a function as the first argument. Inside this function, what is happening? It is like a count minus minus. It is decrementing the count value. So count is actually the value which we had actually written here. So it will take this value from here. Count is decremented every time this function runs, and when this function runs, it runs every time for after a periodic span of 1 second, and it will terminate when. So for that we have defined this particular thing. We have defined a conditional. So when we do this thing, count less than equal to 0. So when the count value is less than or equal to 0, let's suppose equal to 0, then we have to call this call interval. Call interval this countdown. Okay. Call interval countdown. So this will terminate the process, and what we will get. So this was the console.log, which you don't need. I used that while I was debugging the code. Okay. So this will set this what? It will set this timer.text content with the decremented value of count every time this function is called, and it will get terminated using this conditional. By this conditional, it will clear interval, and whole process will be terminated. And let's suppose 5 will start 5, 3, 2, 1, and 0. So now this value count is equal to 0. So it will call the clear interval function, and the whole process will be terminated with a final value of 0. Understood? Famil? Devkaran?
Yes, yes.
Understood that project?
Yes.
Tamil is having any doubt? No?
No.
Okay. So by now you both should be able to, you all should be able to create this counter and countdown project by your own. So till now what we discussed, we discussed upon this on click event. We discussed with this task variables functions. We used this styling objects for styling objects using JavaScript. We used query selector. We used function conditional, set interval, and clear interval. These are both predefined JavaScript functions. So set interval, again I'm saying set interval is a controlled infinite loop which can only be terminated using clear interval or by eliminating this or by closing this browser window. Done? Any doubts regarding this project? No? Okay. So let's move to our last mini project of this session, the color flipper. This color flipper, right? So let's close this windows and color flipper. Color flipper. It will do nothing, but whenever you will click here, it will change the color of the background, and it will also get us the ID of what color has been changed to. So click. Upon clicking, it is changing the ID of the color, and it is also changing the color, background color, right? So is this interesting for you or not? Both. Everyone.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So we are jumping into the source code now. So first of all, let's get back to our CSS curriculum now. For this, we have to clear some hexadecimal color concept of CSS. Okay. So this was the box model. If you have not prepared this thing in CSS while dealing with CSS, you need to be clear with this box model, which we have already done in the previous session. So if you have any doubt regarding that, you can read with this MD and Mozilla Developer Networks documentation, and you can also DM me anytime if you want to learn that thing. Okay. So this is hexadecimal colors concept, and this should be very clear to you when you are using colors in CSS. So hexadecimal colors are supported in all browsers. First of all, first thing first, hexadecimal color is specified in this format: hashtag RR, GG, and BB. So you know that the colors, these are made up of RGB format, right? These are made up of RGB, and this is the particular format which we have to follow when we are dealing with hexadecimal color. So RR is red, GG is green, BB blue are the hexadecimal integers. These are between 00 and FF. Like we know that we have this thing. When we are talking about hexadecimal, we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, then 1, then A, B, C, D, E, F, right? So hexadecimal. So these are integers. RR, GG, and BB are integers. So you can see it here. 15 is an integer. 78 is an integer. 3D is an integer, right? So these are integers, and these are between 00 and FF, specifying the intensity of the color. For example, if we are using this format 0000FF, this means that the red value is 0 and the green value is also 0. So what is the intensified color here? FF. The highest value we can have in hexadecimal is FF. F is the highest value in the hexadecimal. The last value in the hexadecimal chart we have F. So this is the highest intensity of color. Like, so this is blue. Blue is the intensified color. So whenever you search this color in the web, you will get the color. You will get to see this color. Hexadecimal 000 FFF. And also to validate this, this legitimate, to legitify this thing, you can also search for this thing. You can also verify that this color is legitimate green, right? So let's get back to our color flipper code. And what we are going to do using JavaScript now, we are going to create our own hexadecimal values. We are going to randomize the hexadecimal values so that it will change the color whenever a person clicks on it. Let me refresh this again. It is not rendering. So that was all about this CSS. So you can close this curriculum page. It's loading. Let's wait. Till then, let's play. So here we are going to use for loop. So one thing I forgot to tell you, that this is the plain JavaScript. Okay, the plain JavaScript, and when we are using it for the web, it is known as vanilla JavaScript, vanilla JS, because vanilla is a flavor which is very plain. No chocolate, no strawberry, nothing. It is plain thing. So similarly, we are relating this thing vanilla to this web. When we are using this JavaScript for web programming, we are actually referencing this to vanilla JS. We are saying this vanilla JS. So again, what it will include this thing: JavaScript variables, functions, query selector, some predefined JavaScript functions also we are going to talk about. We are going to style using JavaScript, obviously, because we are changing color. So we are going to style things, and we are also going to use this for loop, right? The for loop is kind of similar to one we are having in C++. So simple walkthrough of the HTML file. We have headings, we have divisions, we have this attributes like style, inline styles, classes, we have on click, we have buttons, and we have this footer section now. The basic HTML structure we have. So src. Okay, let's jump to this thing. So combining this integers, we get the hexadecimal values. Okay, So we have created an array of hex values 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, then A, B, C, D, E, F. The 15 things we are going to create an array of hexadecimal values. And here we are getting this display document.query selector display. Okay, display means this. I'm talking about this display that we are referencing to this when I'm saying this display. I'm saying about this color ID we are showing on the screen. So here we will display. So this is the display thing, and it is from this dot wins class. So we have to search for class, and this is in the span area of this span area. Okay. So by default, statically we have set this to white because when we refresh this page, it resets to white. So basically, this hashtag FFFFF is white color. So we have set that statically, and then we are going to change this dynamically using JavaScript. So here's the instance for that. Here we have a function which will be called upon when we click here, right? So again, we are going to create an instance of whole body because here we are dealing with whole body. When we click here, it's changing the color, background color of whole body, right? And again, we are creating a array of hexadecimal values. The values which we can use to create an hexadecimal expression like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all these things. So this will combinedly make a hexadecimal expression and it will get us a color. So for hex, so first of all, if you don't include this hashtag, the browser didn't understand that we are going to we are talking about this hexadecimal colors, the colors hex we are talking about. So for that, we have to reference this thing, hash, right? And then we have this. So you can also do this thing instead of where you can also do this there, right? So the for loop seems same like we are having in C++, right? So this is also a JavaScript. This is also a programming language, and it also follows some basic syntax of for loop. Sometimes it may have its own syntax rules, and sometimes it may resemble someone else's. So this is the for loop starting from 0, and generally we have this of 6 digits. This hexadecimal expression should be of 6 digits. Hash. Then talking about the expression, we have RR, GG, BB, which is of 6 thing. Right. This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we are going to randomize this thing, and we are going to create a way. We are going to store hexadecimal values, which we are going to randomize using this for loop. So we are using a predefined function, this math.floor. It will do nothing. It will just means like estimate the value generated from this math.random. Math.random is actually generating some random numbers, and it will create a multiple with this hex.length. We have this length, okay, and it is creating just a length of it is taking the length of this. We have length of 14, and it is multiplying this to this, and then we are generally storing a particular value to this fun. We are randomizing a particular value and storing it to fun, and then we are referencing it with our array. Okay, so first of all, hash, it will start from hash plus the value of this, and in the end we are having a particular hexadecimal value created using this. So outside of this for loop, we have this whole.style.background color equal to hex. Now what is whole? Whole is actually this body, the reference of this body. Okay, the reference of this body is whole, and we are getting that, we are changing that thing. We are changing the color of that thing with this, the hex which we created using this for loop. right? And also we are displaying this particular hex value to here, just that. On clicking, it will click, it will randomize things, it will randomize and choose the values from the array, and it will create an hexadecimal expression, and it will reflect that hexadecimal color to the background as a whole of the body, and it will and it also displays on the screen using this display content, text content. Just that simple. So all three projects were actually very simple, but as an extreme beginner, you might get something in your head while dealing with them. When you will do by yourself, you will get to know that how to actually work with this. So you will get doubts. Obviously, you will get doubts first of all. So you can jump off to the source code which I have provided to you. But above everything, you have to do everything by your own. First of all, give it a try. Try to implement things which you have grabbed from this session, which you have learned by your own, by putting all your efforts, putting all your mind and concentration on this JavaScript session, and put all the things which all you know. Start with simple consoling, then create buttons, on click events, and then use query selector, and then use these things, for loop and on click events and variable functions. Cover all these things, and first of all create all these three projects by yourself. And then also, if you didn't understand HTML DOM tree, let me know. We will talk about this again. And in the end, you have to do, after creating these three assignments, these three projects by your own, you have to create this thing. This is an assignment for you. Let's see this. This is an assignment. It is a web application which actually translates English language into Minions language, the language that Minions understand. I have named this thing banana processor. You can change it to any name you want. You can design it in any way. You know CSS, you know HTML. The designing part is all yours. All you need to follow is the proper JavaScript. So if I will write hello Urmil, so it will translate this thing, and it will say this Bello Urmil. So this is the language that Minions understand. And let's say I'm copying this thing. You will see a major change in the language. See, Bello Urmil, Tadren Top Dome Nunu Zurun. So it is the Minions language. And for this, you don't have to actually put your efforts and change this. You have to make a translation function. No, not like that. We have this API. And if you don't understand how to use this API, you have to obviously read this MD doc. Take this JavaScript curriculum file and read about fetch. I have copied the link for that. Hello.
API link is I think not working. 404.
API is not working. Actually, this is not an API to be like run. Okay. So here we have also some text and all. So when you will actually go into this, like let me jump off to the project again. Banana processor. Okay, here. Let me show you one demo, a raw demo of this API, how it works. Right. So we have this. Where is that API? We have this text, and then text equal to something. Text equal to, suppose, hello Urmil. So see, here it will say Bello Urmil. Got family?
Okay, got it.
Okay, so like this we have to do. So you can refer to this project I have already did here. You can take the GitHub link it is present on this curriculum page. You can take it from here. I have pasted it in this chat box. You can take it from there. And first of all, you have to be clear with these 3 projects. You have to be clear with on-click events, variables, using variables, defining functions, using arrays in JavaScript, using styling using JavaScript, using also make something like what I'll say. Make something like, first of all, make something like just changing a background color, and don't like deal with this thing like this. What I was saying, this showing on the screen. First of all, just concentrate about styling with JavaScript. So start step by step. Whatever you learned in this session, do that step by step. First of all, do some demonstration on this on-click events, then gradually take some more steps into that, and then start with variables, function, and then styling using JavaScript, and then using if-else conditions also. Okay. You can also make a fun project like if you want to use this on-click event, find some picture of a bulb glowing. So find a picture of a bulb glowing, and also find a picture where a bulb is not glowing, means it is a switched off. Okay. So what you have to do, you have to create a button, right? You have to create a button. So first of all, the text inside the button should be switch on, and when you click on that button, the image should be changed to a bulb glowing, right? Find a similar picture like a button, a bulb is glowing and a bulb is not glowing. Similar picture, or take a collage and crop that it from, and should like it should look like that those bulbs are actually glowing, but there nothing is happening, only that the image is changing there, and that too using JavaScript. You can do that. For a small demonstration using on-click event, you can do that thing, change the image of that thing. So you can practice like this. You can practice with this fun mini projects. You have to create these things on your own. This counter, countdown, color flipper, you have to do this by your own. You can also read more about the set interval and clear interval. You can always follow this thing, MD and doc. Have lots of resources. Anytime you want to like search anything, just write fetch JavaScript MDN. You will get more resources using fetch. So this is how it will work. Have a large library of these things, a good API. Okay. So anything you want to ask regarding JavaScript, today's session, or anything from CSS, HTML, anything, if you want to ask, you can clear things out. And yes, please don't forget to fill this feedback form, which has been pasted to this chat box. And if you want to ask anything, you can ask now. All I want to say is practice by yourself, write some more code, and create these projects by your own. And in the last, use this assignment for practice. Banana processor. This is how it should look like. Okay. So Urmil, Famil, Devkaran, Kushal, anything to be asked? Okay. Okay, Urmil. Thank you. Okay, Devkaran says all set. Good, good. Okay, Famil. So thanks for joining, and you can always follow me on the social media. You can take on my portfolio. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram. You can always DM me. You can always surely be friends on Discord. You can talk about any projects, anything. You can talk about your doubts. You can reach me out anytime. Anything you want to ask, like you're not getting something, some doubts now, and if you find that somewhat later, so you can ask me. Okay. So with this, we end up this session. Don't forget to fill this feedback form, and thank you all for joining the session.